What's up, everybody? I am Taylor, and I'm powerless over life, but not my reaction to life. I created this YouTube channel to share from my heart my experience, strength, and hope, what I've learned from other people, and what I've taught myself through research and life experience since I've been in recovery the past 2 years. I have been in 12-step programs for the past 2 years, and I have been sober since 2020. Now, sobriety and recovery are two completely terms when my brain and my ears hear these words. I think of recovery as being involved in 12-step programs. 12-step programs have a simple solution. They tell me exactly what I need to do to overcome my past and overcome my addictions. And so I think of working a 12-step program. Am I being honest, open-minded, willing? Am I taking action in my program? Am I admitting when I am wrong? Am I taking action to heal myself and to make positive change and to grow? And that is what being in recovery means to me. Sobriety to me is being dry, just minus the addiction, and here you have this person with full of emotional pain, character defects, just a miserable human being. And I spent several years sober away from 12-step programs until I finally was willing to surrender and try a new way of life. So recovery and sobriety are different terms to me. Now, when I think about recovery, I think that there are three aspects. There are three major important parts in recovery that a person must be maintaining in order to feel balanced, in order to feel good about themselves, in order to not constantly be living in the past or constantly causing harm to others or themselves. Those three parts are: the first part, spiritual connection to self, and a power greater than ourselves. I had to find that higher power. And the way I found my higher power was through 12-step programs, healing from my past, and silence and meditation. I found my higher power within myself. And with growing up in a society where religion is the norm, where as a kid I was taught to look at a higher power in one perspective, and everybody around me had the same perspective when it came to believing in a higher power. And so as an adult, it was very challenging finding the meaning of what a higher power is to me, because of all those core beliefs, all those beliefs that had been ingrained in my head. And that's what kept me away from 12-step programs and kept me leaving for so long, is that I could not surrender to a higher power. I could not. I tried to manage my life. I tried to do this. I tried to do that. And I just could not find that connection to a higher power. And that came later for me in 12-step programs. Yes, I've always believed in a power greater than myself, but I had to really stop questioning. I had to stop using logic and reasoning. I had to stop wondering why, how, what, when. For me, I just had to drop all of the theories, everything, and I just had to let it be. And I had to ask myself, Taylor, do you believe in a power greater than yourself? Yes or no? And of course, my answer is yes. Just had to leave it at that. So I found my higher power through myself, through meditations, silence, and nature. Now, the second part is emotional sobriety. Emotional sobriety is a very critical element in one's recovery. For the first year in recovery, I was not working on my emotional sobriety. Yes, I was attending meetings. Yes, I was doing step work. But when it really came down to it, I was not truly focusing on my emotional sobriety. For me, there's many different aspects of emotional sobriety. I grew up in a dysfunctional home where all that was, modeled to me was anger, violence, and happiness. Those are the only three emotions I have ever seen, and I have dealt with from other people my entire life. So, realizing as an adult, hey, children learn from their environment. If there's not a healthy role model in someone's life growing up, then it's not going to happen. I'm going to be the way I am. I cannot just change overnight. I cannot change patterns and habits and coping mechanisms that I have had my entire life. And so for me, I had to learn how to regulate my emotion. I had to learn to deal and cope with stress in healthy ways without escaping, without avoiding, without doing all of these unhealthy things that I had done my entire life. And so that's a part of emotional sobriety. Now, I also look at, here's addiction, right? But my whole life, I never thought to look what's under the addiction. For me, it was childhood dysfunction, trauma, the pain I had caused to myself through all the consequences, the selfishness, the resentment, the shame, the guilt, the fear, the anxiety, which caused to mental health problems. Like, addiction is all people see, but a lot of people don't look underneath that addiction. And until I was willing to work on the stuff underneath the addiction, I could not get out of addiction. So that is why it's important to maintain one's emotional sobriety. And it is very important for me. So 12-step programs helped me heal from my past. And that is why I'm so eager to share my experience, strength, and hope, because I tried in and out for a decade. I would be like, this ain't gonna work. And the only thing that kept me coming back to these 12-step programs was being able to look at people who had been through what I had been through and harder things than I could ever imagine going through. See them talk about their life with happiness and freedom in their eyes and in their heart and in their voice, and that's exactly what I wanted. And that is hope for me. That gave me hope, knowing that, hey, these people used to be where I'm at, and look at them now. They're free and they're happy. So I believed that that could happen to me. And by introducing myself to meetings on a daily basis, several times a day in the beginning, I was setting up my brain to program this new way of life. I was tricking my brain. So it's a process and it takes time, and nothing would change for me. I could not find freedom and happiness sober until I was willing to address the underlying issues. I had a lot of resentment, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and I needed a solution to help me get rid of that. And that's what 12-step programs did. Now I'm gonna make another video because this video is already a little bit long, but I wanna talk about the third part of recovery, which is the physical health part, the physical aspect of it. So look for the second part of this video. This video says part 1. The next video will say part 2, recovery and physical health.